Hello and welcome. It's good to have you join us on Nationwide on the NTA. Thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. President Buhari presents 2019 budget to NAS President. To the National Assembly. President Muhammadu Buhari has presented the 2019 appropriation bill to the National Assembly at a joint session with a commitment to implement a new minimum wage in the new fiscal year. Giving a breakdown of the proposed 8.83 trillion naira expenditure plan, the President disclosed plans to expend 1% of consolidated revenue fund on health, settlement of inherited pensions, and complete migration of ministries, departments, and agencies to the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System, IPPIS, by March 2019.
B. Debt service of 2.14 trillion naira, and C. Statutory transfers of about 492.36 billion naira. D. Sinking fund of 120 billion naira, which will be used to retire maturing bond to local contractors. And E. Capital expenditure of 2.031 trillion naira, including capital supplementation, but excluding the capital component of statutory transfers. The provision for statutory transfers in 2019 is 492.36 billion naira, which is a 7% decrease from 2018. However, transfers to Niger Delta Development Commission and the Universal Basic Education Commission are projected to be higher as they are directly related to the quantum of oil revenue. The sum of 2.14 trillion naira has been provided for debt service. Of this amount, 80% is to service domestic debt, which amounts to about 70% of the total debt. I will read that again. The sum of 2.14 trillion naira has been provided for debt service, of which amount 80% is to service domestic debt, which accounts for 70% of the total debt. Although our national debt is within sustainable limits, we need to increase our domestic resource mobilization to bring down our debt-revenue ratio over the medium term. A substantial part of the current cost proposal for 2019 is for payment of salaries and overheads.
The budget is benchmarked on $60 per barrel of crude, 305 naira exchange rate to the dollar, 3.01% GDP growth rate, and 9.98% inflation rate. Meanwhile, Professor of Economics at the Nasarawa State University, Seth Akotson, shed more light on the revenue and expenditure plans of the 2019 appropriation bill.
President Muhammadu Buhari has just presented the budget proposal to the National Assembly, a little lower than last year by 400 billion naira. What do you make of, say, the revenue and expenditure plan of the President?
Let us thank God because we're able to have the President present the budget as planned. It's a very challenging period for the government in terms of the myriad of expenditure that the government is going to battle with between now and the end of 2019. If you look at the entire budget, the presentation, the indices, the fundamentals, find out that it's a little bit challenging. More so, we cannot claim that the challenges in 2019 will be lower than the challenges in 2018. Now we are now reducing the total planned expenses for the government.
Sorry, but do you see the management of these challenges being addressed properly?
Well, yes. Of course, we have the wherewithal. If the courage is there, if the goodwill is there, why not? We'll be able to manage it properly. And in fact, just like the Minister of Budget and Planning said, we want to have a leaner budget. Want to, begin to cut unnecessary expenses. Want to block loopholes and all that. If that is the case, why not? And I think they will make a good of it going forward.
That was Professor of Economics, Nassau State University, Seth Akosun, shedding more light on the revenue and expedition plans of the appropriation bill. Moving on now, the federal government has cautioned establishments to ensure the implementation of the Freedom of Information Act to restore confidence of Nigerians in the government. Acting Director General Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Dasuki Arabi, stated this in Abuja at the validation workshop of the report on the study of the administrative burden on the implementation of Freedom of Information Act in 4 federal government agencies. Garba Muhammad Natala reports.
More than 7 years ago, Nigeria signed the Freedom of Information Act. However, the Bureau of Public Service Reforms observed that the right to access information by the public from some government establishments proved difficult. It is against this background that the Bureau paved the way for this initiative to ensure full implementation of the Act and create a platform to interface with other development partners.
This has a lot to do with the aspirations of this government to open government to Nigerians, to give citizens the right to participate in governance, to give citizens the right to ask for information.
To sustain the tempo, stakeholders are now abreast with some of the constraints and fashion out strategies as to how to forge ahead to effectively implement the Freedom of Information Act to facilitate development policies across the public service.
Implementation has actually been very slow. That's, a general perception. But then it is expected because we're coming out of more than 100 years of official secrecy.
We have to disclose our actions, what we are doing, and we do it with humility.
It contributes to sustainable development, which we've been yearning for.
A consensus is expected to be reached by stakeholders on how to pursue good governance. Notably, Office of the Head of Civil Service, Federal Ministries of Justice and Finance, and the Code of Conduct Bureau are the coordinating agencies. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Natala, NTA News.
Now time to join Dotun in Lagos for more stories on Nationwide. Over to you, Dotun.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Lagos. Nigeria Customs Service says the presidential mandate of structural reform and revenue generation have impacted positively on its operations. National Public Relations Officer of Customs, Joseph Atta, at a breakfast party with the media in Lagos, however, called for attitudinal change on the part of operators and stakeholders. Paul Omukagu has details.
Nigeria Customs Service sees the media as formidable partners in the management and dissemination of information, especially on its activities. National spokesman of Customs, Joseph Atta, used the forum to highlight areas of success and challenges. He said between January and November 2018, 1.1 trillion naira was generated as revenue, adding that it is an improvement on the 1.037 trillion naira realized in 2017 and 898 billion naira recorded in 2016, respectively.
As we strive to fight smuggling, we are often confronted with the following challenges, among others: porous borders, non-cooperative attitude of some border dwellers, willingness of some Nigerians to help smugglers mob customs operatives, lack of proper implementation of the ECOWAS protocol on transit by our neighbors, use of motorcycles and even animals to smuggle through difficult terrains.
Meanwhile, the distribution of foodstuffs like rice to internally displaced persons in the northeastern part of the country has been concluded, while similar gesture has been extended to other parts of the country. Orphanages and states with natural disasters are next in line to benefit from the distribution following a presidential directive. In Lagos, Paul Obukagu, NTA News.
In its bid to ensure that residents have access to quality healthcare service, irrespective of gender, economic status, or location, the Lagos state government has flagged of its healthcare scheme at Victoria Island. Nosa Usula has the details. We apologize for the loss of audio in that. The Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, has decried the level of adulterated and standard, particularly engine oil, in the market. Director General of the organization, Osita Aboloma, at a town hall meeting with stakeholders, read the Riot Act to perpetrators to refrain from this alleged practice or face the full wrath of the law. Abolade Salami completes the report.
The meeting became necessary following reports of incessant breakdown of factory machines and malfunction of vehicles as a result of massive influx of substandard lubricants and cloning of some known brands. The Standards Organization of Nigeria, for the second time in 7 months, is meeting with stakeholders in the lubricant industry to discuss the economic implication and level of mechanical damage substandard lubricants causes. Director General of SON, Osita Aboloma, expressed dismay, adding that the organization will not spare anyone who produces or imports substandard lubricants.
This is so unfair. It's a moral burden. Our actions in order to make quick money has a far-reaching effect on people's psyche, people's confidence in the economy, and safety of people. As we speak, we still consider lubricants as life-threatening because it's the life wire of our movement, of our industrialization, of our economy, even of our generators.
Stakeholders at the meeting drew the attention of the organization to some individuals who engage in local blending of substandard lubricants. It's therefore expected that the meeting will result in an end in the sales of production of substandard lubricants in the country. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And those are contributions from Lagos. It's now back to Lydia in Abuja for the...
Thank you, Dr. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a special broadcast on the Omonoba Annual Festival. Enjoy it.